Start. Dim.
Hello yet again, this is BGFH and welcome back to Illegally Cited, and we are going to continue our trek through iOS land and start another little branch of videos here, and this time I'm going to be showing you just some accessible apps that I like to use. These could be apps developed specifically for blind and visually impaired users, and it can also be apps that are just mainstream apps that work really well and they're designed for everyone and serve a useful or entertaining purpose. So, I thought I would start by going through a few of my favorite reading apps, since reading is one of the things that I do a lot on my iPhone. And the first app I'm going to show you is an app called Read2Go. I'm going to open it up here in my task switcher.
Read2Go.
Read2Go.
Read2Go. Bookshelf.
Alright, so what we're looking at here is the main library page once you have signed in. Now, the Read2Go app is an app for the Bookshare.org, www.bookshare.org website. And before I hop into the app in detail here, basically, Bookshare, if you're not familiar with it, is a great service. I've been a member for several years. It is a service where you provide proof that you have a print-related disability. It could be blindness, dyslexia, learning disability, whatever. You provide proof of your disability. And if you are a student, you provide proof of that as well, and you can get membership for free. If you are not a student, which I am no longer anymore, then it is $50 per year, which I think is a steal. $50 and you get as many books pretty much as you could possibly want to read within that time period. You look at, even you go to something like Audible, which I will probably cover in the future here, that, you're paying $5, $10, $20, $30 or more for one book. So $50 a year is really great for unlimited. And they have books in a variety of formats. I'm not going to get into all of the versions of books that Bookshare has. You can definitely go to the website and read more about it, but suffice it to say, there are books you can play on your computer. You can read on a braille display. There are Daisy books, which is what we're using here for the iOS app, and probably a couple MP3, a couple more that I'm missing. So the Read2Go app is designed, was released quite a while ago for iOS devices, and it's obviously for reading Bookshare books. Now, I'm in across the bottom, just like a lot of other apps that have multiple tabs. Across the bottom, we have
Selected. Bookshelf. Tab.
my bookshelf. These are the books that I've downloaded to this device.
Search. Tab.
Search.
Settings. Tab.
Settings.
3 of 4. Help. Tab.
And help.
4.
Pretty self-explanatory. So the main page that we're on right now is our bookshelf. And it's just a list view of books. And I can, if I go near the top of the screen,
Selected. Title.
I can sort by title,
Author.
latest
button.
or latest downloads. So however I want to do that is totally fine. And then
Bookshelf. 54.
in the upper right,
Edit button.
is an edit button. And basically if I double tap that, now when I go through my list here down the very left side, I have little buttons.
The Zombie Survival Guide. Max Brooks. Science Fiction. Delete the Zombie Survival Guide. Delete Threat of Death. Threat of Death. Jennifer Esca.
So,
delete Time Warp.
So if I just kind of flick, you kind of see that.
Done.
I'm going to go done because I don't want to edit anything right now.
Edit.
And that's the way a lot of apps prior to Apple starting to support that flick gesture, that kind of rotor or the flick gesture that I showed you in the mail for deleting messages. But that's how a lot of apps work as far as like editing and then deleting things. So again, I can just use my 3-finger flick up or down
Rows 44 to 4. The casual vacancy. J.
So I can
Rows 44 to 47 of 50. Rows.
scroll up and down, and then I double tap
Selected.
on a book.
The Zombie Survival Guide.
So
Book detail.
I just downloaded this one recently because I read it a long time ago, and it's kind of a really cool book. It's basically they wrote it like it was nonfiction, where it just basically tells you all these different aspects to consider, like if we get the inevitable zombie apocalypse. Really cool book. So when you go to one of these books, I get
The Zombie Survival Guide. Max Brooks.
okay, so I get the title and author. If I flick right,
Read. Button.
I can read, which we'll do that in just a second.
Called the Stutzterkel of zombie journalism, Brooks provides the lessons that history has taught about zombie outbreaks.
And you can do a little flick two fingers to read down, and it gives you a little synopsis of the book. If I go down to the next section beyond this little summary here,
ISBN 97814.
you get a lot of basic information of the book. So you get your ISBN number, your date it was added to Bookshare, the date it was actually published, yada yada. A few other tidbits here and there. So I'm going to scroll back up,
Read button.
and I'm going to double tap the read button here.
Bookshelf.
And every
Notice.
book does start with like this little disclaimer. The books are not for sharing, and these books are intended for a certain audience and that kind of thing. Now across the top, I have
X-Rat. Bookshelf button.
I can go back.
Navigation button.
Navigation, that's kind of like your table of contents, so I can jump around the book if it's formatted correctly.
Set bookmark button.
I can set a bookmark, self-explanatory.
Settings button.
Settings, I'll pop into that in a little while.
Previous section button. Previous phrase button. Play pause button. Next phrase but next section button.
And those previous, next, and play buttons are actually on the bottom of the screen. Now, there are two modes that Bookshare, that this Read2Go app can operate in. The way I use it is it does include its separate voice, which uses the acapella, I believe it is, acapella speech engine, and I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. It is a really actually nice, you get a male and a female voice, and they actually read very well, even at faster speeds. I did slow it down for the purposes of this video for you guys, but I listen to it very fast. Now, the upside to that is, once I get it playing, I can treat it like a media player, and I can lock the screen, and I've got my Bluetooth headset going on, and boom, I can just walk around and not have to care, save my battery life by shutting the screen off, and we're good to go. The downside is, if you want to read Braille, you're not going to do that with the built-in voices. And when we go into options, I'll show you that you can turn those voices off and then have the app read via voiceover itself. And then you use your standard voiceover navigation like your rotor and things like that. And if you have a Braille display paired, you can actually, yes, read it in Braille. So I'm going to hit play.
Play pause button. Play. Notice. This accessible media has been made available to people with bona fide disabilities that affect reading. This notice tells you about restrictions on the use of this accessible media, which could be a book, a periodical, or other content.
Good for me. One of the other gestures, it's really helpful to know whether you're reading a book like this with Bookshare or we get into some media apps. If I double tap the screen with two fingers, I don't have to find the play pause button, and I can be anywhere on the device. I can be in my home screen, I can be wherever. I can play and pause whatever media happens to be playing, whether it's a book or music in Pandora, whatever it happens to be, which is really nice. Let me go back up to the top.
Navigation button.
And here's our navigation button. So it is just what it looks like. It is, if I start here.
Selected. The Zombie Survival Guide notice. 1.
Notice,
Level 1.
if I flick right.
The 2. Text copyright sign to contents.
Contents.
4. Mom and Dad. And introduction. 6. The Undead. Myths and Realities. Introduction.
So let's say I want
Level
introduction.
1.
I just double tap.
Introduction. Bookshelf.
And then I could go down and play. Boom, it's that simple. So yeah, navigating the book is very easy, and it depends on how well the book is. Some of the really old books that Bookshare has don't have quite as much navigation in their contents, but even those books are getting updated, so they're actually getting very, very good. I do want to back out of this book here, and I do want to show you. I mean, that is a really simple explanation of how to read a book with their speech. Now remember, across the bottom we have these different tabs.
Selected. Bookshare. Search. Tab.
I can go search, and on this tab, if I go near the top of the screen,
Selected. Title. Button. 2. Author. Button.
so I can search by title and author, or title,
ISBN.
or author,
Button.
or
4.
ISBN number. And I have a search field right here.
Title/author. Search field. Double tap to enter.
If I double tap that, I could type in something and search for it. The nice thing is, because these books are text daisy, they are very small. So even on a data connection, you know, a 3G or LTE connection, downloading even a large novel might take you, what, 10-15 seconds tops, maybe a couple seconds more. That's the beauty of it. I can be out somewhere and someone will say, "Oh, have you read this book?" I'm like, no, but let me grab my phone a little bit and download it right now for future reference. So down below the search,
Latest.
we can actually browse the latest books that have been uploaded to the Bookshare website service. Popular.
Categories.
And categories, so self-explanatory, science fiction, history, biography, whatever, comedy.
Categories. Periodicals.
Periodicals. So there are some periodicals supported as well that you can subscribe to and download. And
periodicals.
Yeah, so those are the categories that you can kind of browse. In addition, you can search. If I go to the right again, settings, and let me double check my time here real quick.
App switcher.
See how we're doing.
XRAP. Ready.
Okay, I'm going to actually probably, because I want to do this app justice, I am going to stop it here, and we're going to split this video into 2 parts, just because there are a few other things that I do want to cover. So I'm going to cut it off right here, and I will talk to you guys in a minute.